Am I on yet? 10-4? Yeah.
I love you, Arnie, but it's not your turn yet. Can you wait a little bit?
Okay, I'll just wait a little bit longer then. No worries.
I'm so excited you're here, though, because my son loves the King's Kids. So I'm so excited you're going to be here.
Get him off. Oh, that's better. Hey. Hey, welcome, everyone. It's fantastic to have you with us on the Adventist Church Online Network. My name's Ken Kingston. Rachel Lemons-Aitken is boss lady for today. And who else we got here, Rachel?
You know, I think we should bring the whole team out today, so you can see like where all the magic happens. So if we can bring out the team members that we have joining us here today. We already have Lindell from AUC. We have Adrian, he's holding it down for New Zealand. And we also have someone else who's potentially he's like our mystery guest. So we have a couple of mystery guests that may pop in a bit later. But we're going to start off with the four of us. I thought it'd be really
You might
fun.
want to unmute yourself, Adrian.
Oh, and Lindell too.
Oh, yeah, both of you, yeah.
So again, Ken?
Oh, I was just saying, you might want to unmute yourself. Yes, yeah, you've done it now. Yeah, thanks.
I've got you.
I thought it'd be fun if we start off with the friendly mystery guest.
Hey, Pete from Fiji.
Yes, he's TQM today. Can you just mute your Zoom, Pete?
Yeah, we
Pardon?
got a bit of a feedback loop going here with someone.
Can you mute your Zoom if you have Zoom on?
It's all muted.
Okay. All right, sounds better. I thought it'd be really fun if we played a little game of rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Yeah, I think after all my protestations, everyone needing to unmute, you probably should mute until it's time for you to actually talk. Maybe I'll do the same.
Okay, the four of us, we'll just start here, and the four of us do a friendly game of rock, paper, scissors. How do you guys do it? Do you do 1, 2, 3, shoot, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, go?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, go.
Right.
You tell us.
I had to do a practice.
You tell us.
figure it out.
We do 1, 2, 3, then go. Okay, you ready?
Oh,
One.
wait
What
a
are we
minute.
paper, scissors,
Who-
rocking
it's
for?
only 2 people at a time, so who's first?
Okay, let's put head to head of New Zealand and AUC.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let me warm up a bit. My rock, paper, scissors hands. Okay. What do I win?
Oh, you'll find out.
Oh, okay.
All right, ready? Adrian, ready?
Yep.
Ready? Ready, go.
Wait. You count it.
Can you count it? Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, go. This should be this is supposed to be the
I
easiest
still
thing
won.
today. All right. I want you guys to just tell me really quickly, what was like one of the highlights from last week's show that really stood out for you, each of you?
Lindell?
So for me, it was really awesome. I'm just going to jump in. It's really awesome to, I'm blanking on his name at the moment, but he does the Adventist History podcast. What he said really spoke to me because we're still in restrictions in Victoria. So I'm from the AUC. We're in Melbourne at the moment. I've got my mask here just in case we get too close. So there's so many churches that aren't being used, or if you can go, it's only one person at a time. And I thought, what a great ministry opportunity to release some of our church space to creatives that can use it to create content. And really encouraged by that message.
What about for you, Adrian? What really stood out for you?
Yeah, there were, of course, a bunch of things, but I guess one of the key things was this idea that Brendan suggested that church isn't one thing. It doesn't look the same everywhere in every place, and we should be aware of falling into the trap of trying to make it like that. Really, church is the people, it is the believers, and whatever form that ends up taking for that community works really well, And so let's be ready and let's be open for new manifestations or new experiments when it comes to church.
Yeah, I love that. I just wanted to see if Pete was able to pop in again, if he's here. If not, we'll connect with him a little bit later. There he is.
Hopefully the sound is back, is not interrupting this.
It's all right. Pete, tell us a little bit about. I think we're gonna have to pull you in again later, Pete. We'll have to pull you in later. All right.
Yeah, Pete sounds fine. It's just when someone else speaks, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of feedback. We'll fix that and we'll bring Pete back on another time. For now, I just wanted to thank you guys for all the hard work that you're doing. And we just wanted to, have more of our team out. So we'll be bringing more members of our team out so you can see who's making it all happen. And we're really excited now to talk this week about digital teams.
Yeah, look, this is absolutely fantastic. This is the theme for this week, talking about digital teams. And obviously we have representatives, not all on screen right now, but we have involvement from all of the 4 unions in the South Pacific Division. So we've already heard a little from the AUC and from NZPUC. But also Pete is obviously from the Trans-Pacific Union Mission based in Fiji. And also PNGUM. We had a great video last week from June Valley and Port Moresby representing the PNG. So yeah, we hope to hear from all around our South Pacific region as we go through this series, and including today with our focus on digital teams. So I guess the question that we're wanting to tease out and to ask you guys to think about is, when you're wanting your church to go online, whether you're embracing live stream or pre-recorded or, Facebook Live or whatever it is, who do you need to get together to be involved? Because it's really easy for it to be just an individual bearing the burden. And one of the specific things we're going to be looking at today is burnout. And that can particularly happen when perhaps your team is not the right size for what you're doing. But first up, look, before we go into this, we're having a little bit of fun, and this will all connect, I promise you. We are going to have a chat with King's kids. So what happens here? Oh, there you go. He's
looks
there
like
already.
we have an eager beaver there with Arnie.
I'm on it.
Is that
Arnie.
you again, Arnie?
Yes, me here. Am I on yet?
Yeah, it's
No,
almost your
yeah,
turn.
Arnie, we've actually got a video of yours like coming up in a second. So you have jumped the gun a little bit, but yeah, you're keen. We'll give you plenty of credit there.
I think
Sorry
we
about
should
it.
bring Arnie out. How about we cue up Arnie's music so that we can bring him out since he's so eager to be out here with us?
So I will sing this song 'cause I know that I belong to the King of the universe. I'm the King's kid, yes, I'm the King's kid. My father is the King over everything. So I will sing this song 'cause I know that I belong to the King of the universe. So I will sing this song 'cause I know that I belong to the King of the universe. So I will sing this song 'cause I know that I belong to the King of the universe.
Yeah, I'm a King's kid.
Hey, Arnie.
Welcome
Did you
to-
enjoy that, Arnie?
Yeah, yeah, just love that.
I'm
Yeah, how are you?
I'm not sure you're a kid anymore, Arnie. You're looking a little long in the tooth for that, but you've certainly got a lot of childlike enthusiasm.
We want to welcome you to the Adventist Church Online Network broadcast. Thank you so much for being with us. I don't know if we want to kill the magic about who's behind Arnie, but I think it would only be fair to let whoever's behind Arnie come out and show his face if he's willing. I know. Are we gonna? Don't let the kids watch this. If the kids are watching, cover their eyes so they can.
Yeah, cover your eyes and we'll bring him out. Hey, what do you reckon?
All right, we're all gonna cover our eyes so you can come out.
Okay, just give me a few seconds.
So while we're waiting, we have on screen Kimberly Hulliston from that Adventist Mecca, Kurrambong. Thanks for joining us, Kimberly. Oh, here we go.
Yay.
Revealed.
Got your cables?
I got my stuff, yeah.
Coming through the garden.
I'm actually kind of excited because I think
Can't
people
hear
all
you just at the moment.
have a little bit of behind the scenes of what happens, and I feel like we're getting that right now.
Hello. You can take
Hello.
your eyes or hands away from your eyes.
sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you so much
It's
for
all good.
being with us.
Yeah, so this is Kimberly and Rob Hulliston from Kurrambong. Is that right?
Hey, Ken.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
You're breaking up
Fantastic.
for us, Ken.
Oh, sorry. I generally break up people with laughter.
We're
but-
struggling to hear you, Kent.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
over to you, Rachel. You go.
Yeah, I just want to thank you all for being here with us today on the broadcast. And personally, my son loves the King's Kids, so I'm personally excited to have you here. I'm just wondering if you can share a little bit about how the King's Kids got started. We'd love to just hear a little behind the scenes, like what was the thought process behind starting King's Kids?
Well, it was a God thing totally. We've been doing our Arnie Shack for many years, so I've had lots of practice of doing things. But when COVID hit, Wayne Bowen from Hope Channel said, "Is there anything that you might be able to help us produce?" And we had a meeting, I think, on a Thursday, and that next Sabbath we had our first episode up, and it was a pretty full-on week, hectic week to try and get something from scratch to totally produce a whole new concept, write a song, record a song, get the kids in. And since then we've done, I think, the 18th week in a row where we've had an episode every week. And
Wow.
it's been absolute miracle that every week we're able to produce that, only with God's major intervention. And we've got some great people that have been helping us out and building new sets and doing all sorts of things. So it's been a real God journey, and everything we've needed, God's provided. So he's been very faithful.
Praise God that I can definitely tell you that it's making an impact on people.
That's good.
Praise God.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about some of the characters that we see on King's Kid? We obviously have met Arnie a couple of
You've
times
met
today in the
Arnie?
show.
Yes. We
Yeah.
probably met Andy and Shane, who do a Discovery Bible lesson every week. So Andy, they've been learning and growing through the Bible every week. We've got some new characters, Gemma and Sammy, you may have met in the new series that we're doing, and they're exploring the Bible. So they're finding out how exciting the Bible is as they go and discover something new every week. And we've been doing that on a diorama. So that's been fun, trying to shrink them down and shrink people down and put them into the diorama every week. But behind the scenes, we've got some amazing people. Junior Lagani Gairo, who's done incredible graphics. If you saw the graphics of the opening scene just then, he's been involved with helping us. Troy Lever, Tiani Page, who's doing some amazing sand art. Jonathan Christian, who does so many different characters. Andy, nearly every other actor, and fills in with puppetry all over the place. And then there's an amazing group of 5 kids that have been with us from the beginning. So there's Kyra and Josiah, Ella and Zane and Rosie, and all their parents who've been so supportive, helping with editing, helping with all sorts of things. So it's been a God thing bringing this whole team together. Behind the scenes, Lee, who's been helping us as well, and just so many people who've jumped in to help and trying to fit with COVID restrictions as well. It's been an interesting journey.
Wow, and I noticed watching the opening video, you had Nurse Betty there, and I know that.
Oh yes, Litiana, of course. How could I forget? And Pastor Darren. There's so many people involved.
Yeah.
Every week they come in and check it. So Nurse Betty's been giving some health messages every week.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Balloon Kaboom is one of my favourites.
Okay.
I noticed that Arnie usually takes home the balloon, whatever's being made. Arnie seems to want to take it back home.
Unless it was, what was the one he didn't want?
No, it was a spot. No, the snake
He didn't want the snake, yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't like snakes.
I don't
You
like
know,
snakes.
One thing that I really love is that I love that you all are creating these resources. And what I've noticed from our Facebook groups is that people are saying that they're using them to help to provide Sabbath school to their children, as you know, they have been unable to meet with their churches. Yeah. So I just want you to share a little bit about how, if someone's not exactly sure what they can do, can you explain how the local church can use some of these resources? How is it designed for the local church to use these resources?
Well, at the moment, we're following the primary Sabbath school curriculum. So it's following the Sabbath school lesson on the primary. So whatever is on that week, that's the topic that we've been doing. So the memory verse, all of those things are related totally to the primary curriculum. So that's linking up with the Sabbath school as well. I know a lot of churches are streaming it to their Sabbath schools. We've had lots of feedback about that. There's lots of parents who are watching, people who haven't actually been to church for a long time who are now watching King's Kids every week. And that's really fantastic, because ideally we want everyone to know that Jesus wants to be their best friend. Mm-hmm. And in this COVID environment, when everything is different, when churches aren't meeting, there's at least, we're hoping that with King's Kids, there's something regular that's happening every week that people can see. Jesus is still wanting to reach everybody, and we're really being blessed with the opportunity, although lots of late nights and lots of effort to do it, the opportunity to be able to impact hopefully lots of people for Jesus.
And I know lots of people would have said this to you before, but I just want to say thank you, and I want to continue to encourage you in your ministry, because I know how much sacrifice can go into something like this. So I just want to add to that, I'm sure, many forms of gratitude that you've gotten over the weeks that you've been doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just getting this. So for a while you produced the Arnie Shack DVDs, and they took a long time to produce, each of them. But
yes.
This King's Kids project, this is obviously the next iteration. So you bring out an episode every week?
Every week.
Every week.
It's a God thing.
From scratch, yeah.
That's incredible.
It's been huge.
That's amazing. So people can get this on YouTube as well as watching it on Hope Channel, and can get it from your website as well?
It's
Yes.
and it's on the Children's Ministries SPD Facebook page,
Yeah.
on their Vimeo.
Quite a few platforms. Yeah.
That's
we-
fantastic. That's
yeah.
fantastic. But I guess if people, a good place to start would be just to Google Abide Family Ministries and see where you go from there.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
even Google King's Kids and it comes up. Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
look, my son actually will go and type in King's Kids SPD children.
Yes, and it comes up.
Yes, he's so cool to watch it. So
Yeah.
we just want to thank you so much for being here with us today. And we will definitely share your resources with all of our viewers. We'll make sure to put it in the comment section. And hopefully we can, find a way to connect with you again later on another broadcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here. I love that. What do you think?
That's fantastic. I love those guys. They actually only a couple of years ago built a massive big recording studio like in their backyard. Like it's incredible, like state of the art stuff. Yeah. They're amazing. They've been at it for like years and years and just so passionate and yeah, just so committed to that ministry. No, absolutely fantastic.
Well, one thing I want to mention for people who are watching is that we are talking about teams today, and I think it's really important to realize that even if you have a small team, you can lean on and leverage the content that's being created at the corporate church level. So whether it's at the conference office, at the union, or even at the division, there's so many resources that are there. So if your church is struggling to produce content or to get resources and assets, just try to make the corporate church another member of your team. You can think, oh, it's just me and my husband, plus everything that the corporate church is creating. And that's the reminder for today.
Yeah, and I guess a number of you who are watching today are, watching on Facebook Live on the Facebook pages of your region of the world, your union. So yeah, we do encourage those of you who are moderating that page just to put up some links of the particular resources that are there in your area. I think it's fantastic, like what we heard last week, Rachel, too, that it's even sometimes a larger church, has the capacity to develop resources like June Valley, we heard last week, or think of like a church like Papster or like Avondale College Church, or all kinds of churches. They develop, the larger churches often develop these resources that then other churches can sort of jump on board with and say, hey, this is great. I mean, Kingscliff in North New South Wales, for example, they've had a record of doing some great stuff. So yeah, get hold of those resources. There's plenty out there, but it's just a matter of finding them. Sometimes they can be tricky.
Yeah, so we're trying to ease that a bit, but that's something we'll talk about in a future episode. Now we like to bring out one of the reps from NZPUC, which is Vi. Hello, Vi. I'm a little scared about this section. You know why? Because Vi's going to test our French. And Vi, can you just explain a little reason why you're testing our French?
So how you guys know this afternoon, we are working not just with SPD, but we have French territory. So that's why I tried to taste the French today. So yeah, we are Frenchy, digital people too.
Yeah, so we just want to let you know we have a French online Adventist Church Online Facebook group. Like if you want to find community there. After this broadcast, we're going to have a session where you can review everything we've gone over in French. And we're also, we will be like putting some subtitles on some of our videos. So in the spirit of that, we're going to test our French with Vi. Be easy on us. Just a couple of phrases, Vi. Or teach us something. Maybe
say something in French, Vi, and see if we can guess, because neither Rachel or I really speak French apart from Pepe Le Pew, Croissant.
Okay, let's start with that. Bon sabbat.
Oh, happy Sabbath. Bon sabbat. Is it?
I was going to say that.
And okay, bonjour. That must be the easy one.
Good day.
Yeah. Good job.
Hello.
Virtual high five.
Yeah.
Chacun. And au revoir.
Oh, au revoir. That's see you later.
Yes. Oh, wow. You should be a teacher, a French teacher, Kent.
Oui.
Yeah, good.
All right, give us a hard one this time, Vi. Give us something like challenge us a little, but not too much.
Okay. What can I say? Bonne semaine, tout le monde.
Happy week, everybody.
Wow, Rachel. Yes, that's right.
Wow, there you go.
Yes.
I heard bon, which I know means good, and monde, which I thought means world.
I'll be honest, I actually speak Spanish and Portuguese, so it kind of helps me a little bit. So.
That was really fun. We help a little bit French. Yeah. Good job, guys.
Well, Vi, we want to thank you for all of your hard work because Vi is a huge part of our team as well, and she does a lot of work to help everything run and keep everything smooth. So we wanted to say thank you, and also thanks for testing our French. We'll have to bring you on again next time with some harder.
Merci beaucoup, mademoiselle.
Merci, merci.
Avec plaisir.
That was fun.
I thought so. I love other languages. It's fantastic. But I just wish I could speak, more than, hello and goodbye in any of them.
We'll work on you, Kent. We'll work on you.
Yeah. No doubt. Look.
Sometimes we see, I think in addition to the teams we've talked about so far, we can often see how the local church is teaming up with people within the church, like members inside of the church. And I think we see an example of that in Vanuatu. We've seen a really good example of that from a church in Vanuatu.
Yes, and I believe, have we got Pete? No, still. Oh, I'm seeing in the chat from our producers we don't have Pete.
Pete is the man of the hour. He is the most, I don't want to say most wanted, but most requested man. We'll bring Pete on, I think, next week. I think that.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So do we want to tell the story of what's happening in Vanuatu at Puerto Rocky Church there, Rachel, or should we move on?
Yeah, I think the church should go ahead. I think we can watch the video because they do a really good job of explaining how they've used digital there in Vanuatu in their church.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love Vanuatu, but would love to go back. Would happily live there if I had the opportunity. So yeah, let's hit that video. I think they just hit it. Bonk.
Hello, my name is Andrew. I'm from Puerto Rocky Church in Port Vila, Vanuatu. I just want to share with you our story of streaming due to COVID-19. And it started on 25th March 2020 after the lockdown that also included our nation, and we had to stay home. So the church decided to continue this stream so that the members can be reached with the services of Wednesday, Friday, and Sabbath. So the streaming took place during the time, and it covered all those services. Even though a few weeks later the lockdown was lifted, the church did not stop the service. So it has continued since March until this day, because it has reached a lot of people. On our Facebook page, we have had over 1,000 followers, and each program has a rating of about more than 100 viewers per program, so which is really reaching a lot of people. The streaming service was made available because of one of our elders here in the church has actually offered. He owns a streaming service company called Bridge Pacific Limited. But when this need came about, he actually stepped in and offered the services at a very discounted rate to the church, which was really a blessing. And the church is currently looking at continuing this service. We are still streaming as we speak. This is in going July and into the future. And the church has decided that as of next month, which is August, we will be engaging the stream services only on Sabbath from then on. But the church is also looking at the streaming service as a ministry into the future, so that because of its popularity and because of its impact, we've had comments, positive comments of people who were blessed because of the services provided. Even some of our members are overseas, and with this service, they're able to participate, to see the services and follow their own church back in Vanuatu. So this has been a great blessing to our church members, and also a lot of others who were able to follow these services each week. And so the church is thinking of setting up this as a ministry on its own, with proper equipment and probably proper lighting. We haven't had proper lighting since we started, because it was an ad hoc situation where we started with just the cameras and the streaming. But maybe we will work towards proper lighting and proper sets that we will set up probably in the next 6 months. Again, we had the services made available by one of our elders, which is Elder Rodney Philemon, and he's here with us now. And I would like him to share his story on why he has this service come forward, offered his services, and provided very professionally to the church. I think it'll come as a blessing to whoever is listening to this story from Potoroki Church. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Andrew. So when we realized that we're going to go into lockdown, and I saw the church leaders discussing how we're going to do it, how we're going to run our church services, I actually offered to assist. I talked to the leading head elder, and I told him, we're ready, we've done the test, everything looks good. We will go along with whatever the church has to offer for us to do this. We started off with pre-recording our sermons at church. We started off with a prayer meeting, and then Friday night vesper comes Sabbath morning, we went into Zoom, Sabbath school lesson study. When I live streamed that service, we found out that there were more engagement, there were more followers and more viewers. I think it's better for us to do live stream rather than do pre-record and upload. So there we go. We've been live streaming Wednesday night, Friday night, Sabbath school. During Sabbath school, I used the materials from the South Pacific Division, King's Kids episodes, the primary lesson discussions, and then we also used the mission news. We live streamed the lesson introduction that SPD puts out, and then for the lesson discussion, we used the 3 p.m. Sabbath school panel discussion for that. And then divine service we live stream as normal, what is here in church, and then closing Sabbath, each Sabbath we live stream that. Our setup in church, we have 2 cameras, a big Sony Pro consumer camera, and then we have a GoPro for our wide angle shot. And then we have a Blackmagic Atom Mini to switch between the 2 cameras. And then we use a laptop that hook up to the Atom Mini. And then we get the sound from the sound system in the church, hook it up into the big Sony camera. And it goes to the switcher, and from the switcher it goes to the stream laptop, and then we broadcast from there. It's been a blessing. As we engage in this ministry, we see life has been touched. Some of the missing members, some of non-Seventh-day Adventists, they tune in to watch. Our camera crew, he was at work, and then when he was about to leave work, and one of his supervisors shook his hand, and he told him he was really blessed. He was actually following the live stream, closing Sabbath on Pentecost, an island up north. The camera crew was so blessed. He felt that at least what he has been doing was a blessing to someone. He didn't know that it would touch even his co-workers. So we praise God for this opportunity. And as Elder Andrew has mentioned, we pray and look forward to enhance this ministry so that we can use the online medium to enhance the gospel commission.
Wow, no, that's really good to see. I think that really illustrates what we were just talking about, Rachel. Like in terms of the all the different aspects of the ministry that are happening there at Potoroki Church. But in particular, I noticed that they are making use of some of the resources that are available. They use the Sabbath school like mission videos from the GC. They're introducing the Sabbath topic videos that come from disciple.org.au, and then using some discussion from 3ABN as well. So they've really done a great job of researching far and wide to find those resources that that they see are quality and that sort of fit the tone of what they're doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like making your team even bigger. If you have a small team, it's like increasing the size of your team,
Yeah.
exponentially by doing that. Yeah, I was really even talking about the video, the videographer, like how he was blessed as well. I love what they're doing there. Man of the hour is here.
Hey, Pete. Bula
Hey,
Vanaka. Bula Vanaka.
Singatambu Vinaka.
Oh, well, if you test this here, I will not win at all.
Happy Sabbath in my Fijian dialect.
Yeah. But I notice you're wearing a Vanuatu flag, Pete.
Oh yes, did you know Vanuatu is celebrating their 40th Independence Day, and there's a big celebration in Vanuatu right now, and it lead up to next week, July 30th. It's a 1 week holiday for the whole of Vanuatu, and
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So-
is there a digital ministry aspect sort of connected with that? Are you taking advantage of that?
I hope Philman and the crew back in Puerto Rico just will probably do something on digital for this Independence Day.
No, that's fantastic. Okay, I would like to bring Lindell Peterson in now from the AUC. There's been some call on the chat, Rachel, for a bit of AUC versus TPUM.
Ken, it's called private chat for a reason.
Oh, sorry. they're calling for another scissors, paper, rock competition, but it appears Pete has fled the scene. He's intimidated by you, Lindell.
Too scared he might lose, I think.
So Lindell, let's hand over to you, our correspondent in Melbourne. You could take it from here. You've to introduce our next guest.
Yeah, so I've got the privilege of introducing our next guest, who's from a church not in Melbourne. I'm in Melbourne because I work at the AEC, but our next guest is from the wonderful town of Kellyville in Sydney, which is where I used to live and work, an ex-church member of mine. This is Rod, and I'd probably describe him as like one of those people that just got too many spiritual gifts or too much talent, too much skill. He's creative, he's passionate, he's committed, and he leads the media team up at Kellyville. I mean, you look at their Facebook page, they've got like 6,500 likes. He knows all the ins and outs of tech, and he's going to chat to us about the pros and cons of live streamed versus recorded content.
Yes. Well, let's cue up his video, and then we'll have a chat with him afterwards.
So should a church live stream or pre-record? Hi there, my name is Rod Long and I'm the Media Director for Kellyville Church in Sydney. But let's talk about whether it's better to live stream or pre-record your video content. And this is directed more towards those of you who haven't had a live stream ministry before and who have perhaps just ventured into video ministry. So here's 5 reasons why a live broadcast might be preferred. 1. You want to respond to the very latest issues going on in your church or the world. Pre-recorded content will be a few days old at least. Number 2, a live broadcast means a presenter can actually respond or interact with live viewer comments during the stream. Number 3, broadcasting live doesn't require any editing or post-production, and that saves time. And number 4, broadcasting live may help spread the workload across more people rather than relying on a few with video editing skills. And lastly, a live video is said to be given more prominence on Facebook over a premiere or simulated live video, so it may be more likely to be seen. But let's look at the alternative and reasons why you might want to pre-record. Firstly, pre-recording helps remove unpredictable and cringe moments from your program, such as when the sound is bad or there's a big gap in the program. Someone might go off script or something unfortunate that has been said. Number 2, pre-recording allows you to improve the overall polish or planning of your online worship experience. It allows you to add, change or move segments to better support the message for the day. And this can help you provide a more impactful worship experience. And number 3, pre-recording should improve your audio and audio should be of primary importance when it comes to streaming. People will turn off your stream if the audio is bad, whereas people seem to have a higher tolerance on poor quality video. And it could be as simple as fixing how someone holds a microphone or making sure it's even switched on in the first place. And number 4, pre-recording is better for inexperienced presenters. Many church members and pastors are not used to presenting to camera. So pre-recording allows your presenters to be coached through their presentation and ease into working with cameras. Pre-recording limits streaming issues. Potential problems with your upstream internet connection or the streaming platform are mostly removed when you pre-record. Pre-recording allows you to record content in bulk. You can quickly build up a catalogue of content for the future, for example, musical segments to be used in future programs. Number 7, pre-recording allows you to include a broader range of people in your worship service, especially those who are at risk or unable to travel in this current situation. Pre-recording will also improve the possibility of maintaining consistent worship quality from week to week. This means those visiting your online church will have more confidence in what to expect, and your members will have more confidence when they invite people to come join your online worship. That's just a few of my thoughts. I'd love to know what you think and some of the pros and cons and what works best for your situation. Some of you may even be doing a hybrid version of that at the moment and pre-recording some content and live others. That can work well too. So I just want to wish you blessings in your video ministry, but let's hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I think what you're saying there, Rod, is that we do want to hear from people. We want comments on Facebook. We want questions. So yeah, as you're watching this, everyone, we'd love to have you, putting your questions there on Facebook, and we may have time to get to some of them. We'll see, but.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for being on the show today, Rod, and for sharing those pros and cons. As you know, today we're talking a bit about digital teams and the potential for burnout. And I think it kind of relates to, we said last week we were going to talk about the pros and cons of live and recorded content. And to stay true to our viewers, we are doing it, but we're doing it this week. And we kind of think it fits better with the idea of digital teams because, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Rod, because you're in the weeds with this a lot more than I am, but does it change the workload when people are doing something live versus recorded for the team?
I think it's a different sort of workload. It's a different kind of pressure. Live is was quite stressful, but once it's done, you can forget about it for then. I think when you're pre-recorded, it's kind of, the stress is kind of spread over perhaps a longer period of time, but not quite so intense. But I think for us, that was the only way forward for us because we hadn't been live streaming before COVID. So yeah.
And I guess the interesting thing is, Rod, that it's not a matter of that one way is low tech and the other way is high tech. I mean, I've seen, like Lloyd Grolleman, the Aussie pastor, and he has a full TV show, but he's got some incredible statistics just doing, Facebook Live on his mobile phone in his lounge room. That it's low tech and it's live and it works really well. And then we saw, like the Potoroki Church in Vanuatu with all their full tech setup. And they had a hybrid model, as you pointed out, some live stuff, some pre-recorded stuff. So there's a whole sort of continuum there, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. It's what works best for your situation and the gifts that your community is blessed with, all those sorts of things. What Lloyd does is great. And I think for him, he's constantly out there midweek. He's pushing content as well. So live content and low tech on a phone works well as well in those sorts of situations. Of course, he's been presenting for years now to camera, so he's quite used to that and quite relaxed in front of that, But yeah, what works best for your situation? Absolutely.
Rod, I think you brought up oh, sorry, go ahead, Lindell.
I was just thinking, Rod, you mentioned that your church hadn't done anything like this before. So when COVID hit, you had to sort of figure out how you're going to do it. Moving forward, as restricts, potentially, hopefully ease more in the future. I know you're not meeting at the moment. What's your plan? Will you continue to create content? Will you continue to do pre-recorded stuff or still live stream? Has that changed your mentality around what you do with the digital media?
I think we're still working through that. I think there's probably no doubt we'll continue to stream. what that looks like, because if you're doing live and some sort of pre-recorded content, it can mix your goals and who you're focused on, perhaps. But I think definitely we'll be pursuing that, and even our small group content, I think as well, we'll continue to meet perhaps live as a small group, but Zoom people in who are remote, or perhaps who are not, maybe high risk and can't yet attend, so lots of things like that. And that's where the hybrid will work just as well.
And Rod, you mentioned that each church should look at what they have as resources, and then they should work out what they should do from there. Can you just explain that a little bit?
Well, I think for us, it involved cameras and things like that. We had to look at what we had available and the people to operate. So I think, just working with what you've got in your hands and making the best use out of it is really all God's asking for you to do. Make the most of it.
So a church should probably stop and say, what talents do we have in the church? Who do we have? What skills do we have? And then how can we apply that to,
Absolutely. And also getting help from other churches, and maybe there's a church nearby that doesn't, needs a place to record, and, pooling content resources. I think this is the time we should be sharing whatever we can, So I think in the early days for us, we pre-recorded some worship songs, and we've made them available to some other churches because they had difficulty in pulling together a program without music. So just, helping each other out is really what we're about. Absolutely.
Hey, Rod, I just want to pass on a question that someone has asked on Facebook. Candice has asked about shifting the expectations of a congregation. I guess a lot of us are really consumerist these days. We know we can get really quality sermons on YouTube. There's incredible, animated content. The Bible Project comes to mind. Fantastic stuff there. But as you're sort of trying to encourage your congregation to move into a more interactive live environment, where sometimes, as we've seen today, on this show, things go wrong, the audio's not quite right, how do you explain to a congregation, hey, this has value because it's community, because it's interactivity? How do you shift those expectations?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know if I have all the answers for that, but I think for us it was really just about trying to create engaging content. So if someone's just passing by your Facebook page for 3-10 seconds, that at least there's something there that will engage them, whether it be visual or what the message they're hearing. And so for us, I think it's about creating shorter content as well. I think if you're watching stuff, you as opposed to a live situation, it needs to be more condensed, and just to keep that in mind. So, but that's certainly a challenge, Ken. I don't know if I have all the answers to that.
You don't have all the answers, Rod. What's going on?
The lead in Lindell boosted me up too high, I think.
Well, I think if you'd like to ask Rod more questions, he is quite active in our Digital Discipleship Facebook group. He's active in the Adventist Church Online Facebook group. You can even go to your local union's Facebook pages, and they have resources for you as well. So make sure you reach out, and you'll see from today's show that we are grabbing people who are making comments. You'll see a couple more of them on the show later today. And they're on the show because we saw them chatting in the Facebook group, or we saw a comment, or someone told us about something they were doing. So we pulled them onto the show. So I think Lindell as well, we have a couple more people from your union coming on.
Yeah, so I know Kent mentioned that last week was probably NZPC a bit heavy, but this week AUC represent, we've got Jason Cook from Rosny. Yeah, Tasmania. That's it. It just sounds a bit strange with the accent, doesn't it? Nah, it's all good. It's all good. So we've got Jason Cook from Rosny in Tasmania. He's coming on a bit later, talking a little bit about his experience in teams. And then the really cool thing is we've got Caitlin Edwards, who's from Ararat Church, and she is going to chat a little bit about how she watched the live stream last week and was convicted and encouraged and empowered to do some stuff in her local church's media space. So I'm really excited to hear from her as well, but that'll be a bit later on in the show.
We're looking forward to it. Thanks you all for joining us. We appreciate it, you coming on the broadcast.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks, Linda and Rod. Really appreciate it.
One thing that I think churches may be wondering as well is like, how do we get everyone involved? And there is something we call the digital discipleship ecosystem, and it's a good model for getting more people involved in the process or having digital church. So we'd love to introduce that idea to you right now, this digital discipleship ecosystem.
Are you wondering how to get more people involved in digital discipleship? Understanding the digital discipleship ecosystem can give you some insight. The ecosystem includes the visionary, content creator, distributor, engager, and curator. Let's break it down. The visionary casts a vision for your church or ministry. Content creators carry out that vision through the material they produce. Content distributors share the content amongst their networks, on social media, in groups, on email, and through texts. Content engagers have important conversations with people around the content that has been distributed. They make invitations and call people to action. Content curators, well, they're like libraries or resource centers. They go around the internet looking for the best content to place on their platforms. Try giving everyone in your organization, even those you think of as spectators, a role to play on your digital team to increase engagement and lighten the load.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get a tiny glimpse of what you mean when you talk about a digital discipleship ecosystem, Rachel. So everyone having their particular role. How do you communicate that? I mean, do you like diagram it out or give job descriptions, or like, how do you help people understand how that all interacts?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think it's something we'll work through on the consultation as well when we get to that. But I think it's about really someone having a plan and a vision, as we say, and then there be the people who will create the content. And from there, I think that's where it kind of breaks down often. It's like the content's created, but it never actually gets out. It's being really intentional about how are we going to distribute that content. So getting some church members on board to really help with that distribution process, and then really empowering people to engage in conversations. But we can keep having these conversations as well around this topic. I think especially when we start talking about the journey, which we'll talk about in a later week, I think that'll be a good place to really dive deep into that. But I think what's really important is what happens when you don't have a team or you don't have, some sort of system. That's what I find.
That's the risk, isn't it? And whether it's a digital discipleship ecosystem or some other sort of structure that you have, I guess it's important to try to bring people on board, because I mean, you're right. If there's not that willingness, if there's not that team, there is a risk that one enthusiastic person will start out strong, will bang out a couple of weeks of fantastic content, but they find that they had to pull 3 all-nighters to sort of do that, and then they're expected to keep it up at that quality, and which is basically a recipe for burnout. So we're actually going to take a look now at a short video clip from Pastor Eddie Hippolyte, who does now consult on leadership, and he's going to talk to us about the risk of burnout, and I hope how to avoid it.
A number of years ago, I was a high school chaplain, and I remember on this particular day when one of the heads of year came into my office. Very revered, very loved, very respected. She was an older for me, so I always looked up to her and always revered her. And I remember she sat in the corner of my office and wept. She just sat on the floor where no one could see her and wept, just wept. After about 10 minutes of just weeping, she composed herself and I said, "What is it, miss?" And she really just had burnt out. She just spoke about not being able to do it anymore. "I don't have the energy to come in. I just can't mentally bear the thought of coming in. It's too much for me." Her capacity and her ability could no longer match the expectations that were being placed upon her by the school and by her own expectations. And that essentially is what burnout is. When our capacity and our ability can no longer meet the expectations that have been placed upon us because they're just shot. And they've affected us in terms of our mental, emotional, and our physical energy. That's what burnout is. And burnout comes to all of us. I think on different levels and in varying ways, we all experience types of burnout. It's unavoidable. If you work in a high stress, high capacity stress environment, high performance based environment, you're going to experience burnout, sometimes quicker than others. If you're a person who leads, or you're just a person who's in the home and having to just manage so many different things, or you're just somebody who's studying and you're doing so many different, there's a myriad of ways in which the combined amount of pressure that we add to our lives can cause burnout. Well, it's unavoidable. On different levels, it's unavoidable. But how can we recognize it? How can we manage it? And how can we make the unavoidable less stressful? Well, let me suggest 3 things. Number 1, listen to your body. Listen to your body physically, listen to your mind mentally. Listen to the warnings and the stresses. Listen to yourself when you get a bit more impatient than you would normally be. Listen to yourself when you're just a bit more vacant than you would normally be and the answers wouldn't come so quick. Listen to your body when you don't get up at 5 o'clock like you used to, but you're actually sleeping over and you're getting up at 5:45 and that's 6 in the morning. Listen to your bodies. Listen honestly to your bodies. Number 1. Number 2, don't ever think yourself indispensable. The people who think themselves indispensable burn out very quickly, and they burn out very badly. They burn out badly into the place where they find it harder to recover than anyone else. Do not think yourself indispensable. It doesn't mean that you are not important. It just simply means that this thing can go on without you. And number 3, love yourself enough and love your reputation enough to pause, just to pause. And that is the major way in which we avoid burnout, by just simply pausing. Well, I hope that this helps. I hope it's useful. I hope that if you're on that road of burnout, that you do these 3 things. And I hope that you are well to yourself and treat yourself well.
Yeah, he always makes you think, doesn't he, Rachel?
Yeah, I was like, there's so much honesty in there. You know, it sounds simple, but yeah, I think it was a great reminder, something to watch again, I think, at another time. I think we're fortunate now to have Jason Cook. He's joining us from Tasmania. How you doing there?
Very well, thank you.
I just want to share with everyone, the reason why we're bringing you on is because of a comment that you made in our Adventist Church Online Network Facebook group. So one good way to avoid burnout is community, to find a community of people who get you. I know that there's such a relaxing feeling to feel like you're amongst people who understand the struggles that you're going through. And you shared something in the Facebook group, Jason, that I thought you could share with all of our viewers, and it might help them as well. And you're talking about how you adjusted your church's church services to accommodate the team that you have. So it's similar to what Rod was talking about earlier, like looking at the talents and gifts of your team and figuring out how can we do something that's going to actually work with our team. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So for approximately 16 weeks, I think we ran a live stream, which was the full service from I'll just rephrase that. Sorry. The first 2 weeks we didn't have music involved, but then we added live music with backing tracks and what have you. And then eventually, once we had the ability to have more people, we brought on our musicians and a full band. But our experience through that time really told us that it was not sustainable to do a full live service every week. We realised that fairly soon in the process. We started recording some or using past recordings of songs, worship songs, so that we only did, say, 2 or 3 live songs rather than a full set. But towards the later few weeks that we've now been able to open almost fully, and we've still got restricted numbers, but we've substantially got most of our church back in the building. We've made the decision to drop back to doing a full service or a full live stream service only once a month, and that's really helped take the pressure off for that week after week. You know, there's a lot of preparation and a lot of practice. many of our live streams, we would do 2 or 3 rehearsals before going live. And so we're now able to do 3 weeks of the month where we can involve a wider range of people in the worship service. We don't have to stress so much about every note being perfect, and we can now enjoy those weeks a little bit more in between the weeks that we plan to do a full service.
So you're putting together a series of pre-recorded videos for the other 3 weeks in the month, are you?
No, we're just streaming the message, or the message plus a little bit. So, for example, today we actually brought the live stream on just before the offering, and we did an extra little welcome for the live stream viewers who came on at that time. We then played the offering video. We collected the offering in the church whilst playing a pre-recorded music video, and then finished with the prayer and on to the message. And so the pastor closed off the live stream at the end of his message, so that the worship period of the songs and children's story wasn't part of our live stream this week.
Right. So it's sort of a cut short version, 3 weeks out of 4, and then 1 week out of 4 it's the whole catastrophe.
The full thing. Yeah, that's our plan. The other thing that it's probably worth noting, during the COVID time, our primary objective was to keep our church connected, and we had I think we had a lot of success at doing that using the live stream platform. But of course, we were not already live stream when COVID hit. We were planning to start live streaming for a different purpose, not for keeping our church connected, but as an outreach. And so now we've also got to adapt what we're doing in those live streams, and certainly the ones that we're going to do the full service once per month. We're now starting to talk and plan about how we will shift the focus of those programs to be an outreach thing rather than keeping our church connected, because most of our church were back in person today, and we don't need to be targeting so much, just let's keep our church talking to each other, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think for this final question, if you can give us think about the answer that you might want to say, but I think for teams, it might be actually difficult to make those decisions to cut something back. Like you're doing something and then you say, okay, let's cut this back. Usually if we make the decision to do something, everyone's excited. But if we cut something back, how did you make that decision? Was it in a team setting, or, just tell us a little bit about that process, because maybe people can learn from that. Sometimes it's time to cut things, and help us through that.
So there was 2 incentives to cut back. We had a lot of people enjoying our live streams from the comfort of their couch, but we want people actually to come in person to the church. So to cut back provides an extra incentive. Hey, we want to be part of this whole worship experience. Let's actually get off the couch and come in person and be part of it. And I'm really thankful that after 3 weeks, we've effectively got our full church back, which is fantastic. So that was one incentive. So the cutback was, hey, let's encourage people to come back to church. But also it was just simply out of pure necessity. We just couldn't keep going week after week doing the full program. For me personally, I'm in charge of the music team, the video team, gathering all the content. It was just too much. I couldn't do that every week. So we just had to pull back out of necessity.
Well, I think bravo to you for making that kind of decision. And because some people would have just soldiered on. And I remember you saying you've been doing it for 16 weeks straight. So we just want to...
Actually, 18. I think this week was our 19th week. So
okay, so 19 weeks straight. So we just want to encourage you in what you're doing, because we know it's a lot of work, what you're doing. So we just want to thank you for what you're doing and encourage you as well. And we hope to see you in the Adventist Church Online Network group as well, because that's where we've been able to connect with you.
Sure.
Thank you for being on with us today.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. We're going to bring on someone else now, and this is the danger, guys. Like, you put intelligent comments on Facebook and tell your story, and we'll call you, and you'll be on screen the next week. So
hopefully that doesn't scare people away.
Just warning you. So we have now Caitlin Edwards from Ararat Church in Country Victoria. How are you, Caitlin? There's lots of rock climbing going on out there at Ararat.
Probably, but not by me. I like to hike rather than rock climb.
Yeah, sure. But that area of Victoria is big on outdoor sports, isn't it? Like you've got what is it, the Grampians not too far away, and all that sort of stuff. It's definitely a beautiful part of the world. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Now I understand you watched our first episode last week, and it's sort of sparked off something for you. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was definitely one of those, like, the icing on the cake moments. I've been doing a lot of research and participating in a lot of different things around social media and the use of it within a church setting. Places like Adventure Social, and having conversations with my friends about how they're doing things. And then I watched a video about a guy by the name of William Booth that some people may know. And then your content just kind of brought everything into line. I went, oh my gosh, this can happen.
Do you mean William Booth, who founded the Salvation Army with his wife Catherine? Yeah. Okay.
I do indeed. The connection is quite simply, they saw people in need within their community or within the community around them, and they saw them where they were, and they said, I need to help them. I need to give value back to them and empower them to make change for their life. And so that is what has created a kind of shift in our content.
What kind of shift is that, would you say?
So instead of being internal content for churchgoers, just your Bible scripture content, your occasional song, instead we're making a shift towards how to empower people to come up with their own solutions out of whatever's going on in their life. If they've got mental health issues, help them identify them, give them avenues so that they can get the help that they need. To also acknowledge, when they're going through burnout and they need that extra bit of help. And then we'll hopefully be transitioning to also some other areas like cooking or even practical skills that could potentially help them and give them leadership skills and just anything to really empower them.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you were seeing all this content, it kind of came together when you watched the broadcast, and then you decided to shift towards thinking, what are the needs of the people that might encounter our page, and then how can we provide content that might meet those needs? Am I understanding that right?
Yes, and I have experienced burnout. I remember when we first started the page, it was just like, I have to create content to meet whatever we're doing. And it was just not sustainable because it does come down to me at the moment. And I just can't do everything.
Yeah.
And so over the last week, it's been going through my news stream and just whatever I find that answers the question, does this add value? Does this meet a need? It gets shared.
Well, I think that that's great. And I think also we're having workshops after this session, which if you'd like to join one of those workshops, you just need to go to AdventistChurchOnline.com. And there's a sign-up page. Whoever's on our mailing list after this broadcast, I'm going to send out an email with those Zoom details. And that's just for the live broadcast, obviously. But I guess touching on the point you just made, sometimes you're wondering, what do I post? And we're going to kind of chat about that a little bit, about what do I post? And we'll be talking with Esther Sean after this as well about that kind of what do I post. So hopefully, Caitlin will be able to continue going on that journey with you. I love that you've taken this first step, and that's what we want to encourage people to do. Take that first step, even if it's a faltering step, just go ahead and take it, and jump in community where you can get help, where people can be part of your journey and help you along the way as well. So thank you so much for hopping on. There is a book that I'm going to send you after this, Caitlin. It was put out by the North American Division. It's Digital Discipleship and Digital Evangelism, and it's written by Jamie Dom, who's one of the speakers who came previously to the Digital Discipleship Conference. So hopefully it will be a little bit of encouragement for you on your journey, Caitlin.
Thank you very much.
All right. See you
Thanks
later.
heaps, Caitlin. See ya. So you're in giveaway mode, Rachel, by the sound of it.
I don't know that I have too much to give away before I'll be giving away my phone and my water bottle at this point. But I would like us to be able to have a chat with Esther Shawn, who we met last week. We started a consultation with her. She's at Manor Park. And how are you doing today, Esther Shawn?
I'm all right, thank you.
How's Auckland? How's Auckland today, Esther Shawn? Is it nice and sunny? We're sending some rain over, just warning you.
Oh, thanks for the warning. It is nice and sunny, just cold.
Hey, I was just wondering, because people probably don't know you that well, but tell us one little interesting fact about yourself that people, well, none of us know because we don't know you, but tell us something about yourself.
I play the harp.
Ooh,
No
next time you come on, you're going to have to play the harp for us.
Do you play like classical harp or like Irish folk harp or what?
I have a lever harp, so but it's a big one, so I can sort of play a mixture of repertoire. So, I mean, I can't.
Next week,
maybe.
I love it. I love
practice
it.
something.
Yeah. We will not accept you on the broadcast without the harp. You must come
So you came on last week, Esther Shawn, with with a message. We're doing some digital stuff at our church. Please help me. So where are we up to with this, Rachel? Where did we get to?
Well, Esther Shawn and I had a conversation this past week, and one of the things we talked about was her team. And it's kind of appropriate because we're talking here about teams. But Esther Shawn, one thing that I would say is really great about your church is that you actually have a large team. Like many people would probably be a little bit envious of the size of the team you have. Can you just tell us a little bit about how did you get such a big team? How are you able to recruit them?
Okay, so the team basically recruited themselves after the last Digital Discipleship Conference.
The one in New Zealand.
Yeah, in New Zealand. So it was after that when they were like, hey, let's get together, let's do some things. And then, so when the nominating committee was going through choosing people for communications, they chose a few roles, and then I contacted the others who had been interested after the conference before, and they said, yeah, they still wanted to be on the team. So we've got, we do have a good number on the team, which is great.
So what roles do they have on your team?
So we have some who are to help with Facebook, finding content and sharing that. We've got 2 who are on web, managing the website, making sure that's ticking. And then there's 2 of us who are on internal communications, so like bulletin and newsletter. And then there's another small group who are working on video content for like little video promos, things for Chip and what does our church do and stuff like that. So that's in the making.
Looks like you had a fan there. Did you see it? There was a Go Manor Park. We had a little note from our YouTube audience about someone cheering you on. So
it really sounds like, Esther Shawn, that you've looked at the people who you have available. Some people are more communication-y, creative sort of people. They're the sort of people who are going to cruise the internet and find cool stuff that strikes the right tone. Other people are more technically minded and will be able to manage the back end of the website. Or it seems like it's really important to have to recognize that everyone has their variety of gifts and interests and specialities, and to sort of slot them together. And are you then the coordinator of all this?
Yeah. So.
What's that like?
I guess something that I've sort of been realizing while talking with Rachel is that I've sort of been focusing a lot on doing one of the jobs rather than spending a lot of time focusing on how I can support my team members to do their jobs effectively. And I think that's why we haven't been as effective as we have been, as we could be. So that's something definitely that I want to talk with the team about, and how can I better support them in their roles rather than just being busy making sure that I'm handle the little bit that I'm doing.
I love this. Like, I just almost want to give you like a virtual hug, like, yes, because you had your own aha moment, you know, like it wasn't something that I told you, it was something that you kind of just as we were chatting. And I guess for people to kind of know a little bit about the process of what we did this past week, I was asking you about what are some of the main ministries that you have. So we know even from last week, it was Floorball, it was Pathfinders and Adventurers, there was Chip as well. I asked you to take some photos at the Floorball ministry because I asked you to take some photos at Floorball because, you know, it's good to have images, and we talked about the type of content you could create around that. I think for this upcoming week, one of the things I would challenge you to think about is, and I can help you with this, I've already started putting a template together for you, is developing a content calendar. Because I think if there was a content calendar, I know one of the challenges you said before was that you might ask someone, can you find some content for Facebook? And then you might check back and then they hadn't found any content. But if we would be more specific and say, hey, we have this content calendar, this is the type of content we want for the month, these are the calls to action that we want to include, this is the reason why we're including this content. So someone very specifically had a job that was like, I need you to find 4 posts that are about floorball, or I need you to find 4 posts that are just about healthy eating, because it's going to help drive people into our CHIP program. Can we work on that?
Can someone please tell me what floorball is? It sounds fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's a fast game. It's a little bit like indoor hockey. It's very popular in Scandinavian countries and actually spreading around the world. Yeah.
Okay. Well, New Zealand's sort of the Scandinavia of the South Pacific, isn't it? Let's face it. Because I guess the thing that it seems similar to what Caitlin Edwards was saying just before, that there's this sort of mental switch that has happened when you suddenly realize, hey, a lot of stuff that we're doing, we keep aiming at our own church members, which is great to nurture our own church members, but you know, like the funnest thing that you're doing in your church is floorball, and it's suddenly there's this aha moment. Oh, wait a minute, we have a community out there who might enjoy this. You know, this might be a great way to start building new relationships and new friends. I know that, and your digital messages that you send out can reflect that message. Hey, you know, floorball's fun. This is what's happening. This is the 5 best goals from last week, or I don't even know if you do goals in floorball, but you know what I mean? So it sounds like there's been that switch, or that switch is happening for you guys.
Yeah, actually, most of the people who come along to floorball are from the community, which is great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry, we just had a question here. Someone was asking, how has the church responded to your ministry? Are they happy with your team speaking for the church? So I guess that's a tricky question, if depending on what the answer might be, but I know that communicating are going to handle it with grace. Yes.
Well, I haven't been to a church board meeting as such yet, because you know, everything was closed over lockdown, and then there was and I wasn't able to attend the last one. But when I spoke at the business meeting, everybody seemed to be happy with what we were doing, and they were excited about us taking part in this consultation. And even our head elder came and chatted to me about how's it going today. So they seem quite happy with this process and excited that we're going through this consultation.
Well, I'm excited as well. I think this upcoming week we will start working on that content calendar, and once we have the template created, we'll make it available for you as well. We'll have a place where you and your church can download it, and you can use it for your purposes as well. So we just want to thank you for being here with us today and for going on this journey with us. I know it can be a little bit scary, but thank you.
Thanks, Esther Sean.
What have you really taken away from this? Kent, anything? Any big takeaways for you?
Look, I think that last question just really made me realize that there needs to be a lot of trust in a church community, you know, because people will have these ideas and people will kick things off. And if I guess this old saying, comes to mind. Sometimes it's easier to ask forgiveness rather than permission. Sometimes you have an idea of a new initiative, and you have to kind of kick it off so that people can see what it's about, in order to grasp the concept before you might necessarily get a church board or a church business meeting on board. I mean, yes, they may tweak, they may help to sort of redirect things. But I think, sometimes you just need to take the initiative and take a risk, and it's great when you see a church like as appears to be happening with Esther Shan's church, that puts that trust in the communication people, particularly young people. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. And I think risk takers, we got to celebrate the risk takers. They can be scary. You're kind of scared to give them a mic, but you never know what you're going to get when you give them one. Kent Kingston.
Yeah, hey, you're the one with the big scary mic.
Well, anyway, I think Adrian created a video for us that kind of celebrates those risk takers and helps us to imagine, like, what would the world have been like without some of those risk takers. So we love to be inspired by that.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Imagine a world without the internet. Imagine the world without television. Imagine the world without modern transportation like cars and boats and planes and trains. Imagine a world without the printing press, without printed media like books and magazines and the like. Hey, imagine a world without the wheel. Seems hard to imagine, right? But guess what? Other generations have lived in a world without these things that we count as modern conveniences. But in every generation, there's been a dreamer, there's been a visionary, there's been somebody that has asked the question, what if? There's been somebody who's dared to think outside of the box, and in doing so has applied their skills, their energy to this radical concept that has never happened, never been seen, never been materialized before. And because of those visionaries, and because of those dreamers, and because of those dedicated individuals, we live in a world today with all these modern conveniences that we count as incredible blessings. Have you ever stopped to think what God's vision might be for this world? What God's dream for this world might be? God's vision is laid out in Scripture, and in His picture of this world, He sees a world where the message of the gospel and the love of God has gone to every human being in every part of the world. He sees in His vision a world where we're no longer restricted by geographical location, because we can collaborate with one another through the internet and using digital tools. We can each play to our strengths and form a family team of people dedicated to this cause of bringing the message of the gospel to every person in every part of the world in one generation. I think that God needs us, you and me, to participate in this dream and in this vision. So the question today is, what can you imagine? What can you envision? How can you and I work together to fulfill God's vision for this world?
Inspirational stuff there from Adrian. Thanks for that, Adrian.
Yes, and I think for all of our viewers who are watching, we want to encourage you in whatever it is, like the dream or the vision that God has given you, because we would be going another 10 years and saying, imagine the world without fill in the blank, whatever it is that God, that little seed that God has placed inside of your heart. So go for it. Take that risk, move forward. You may not have everybody on your side, but just if God's giving you that vision and that dream, then you can rest assured in the vision that He's placed in you. And He says in Psalm 138:8, I will perfect that which concerns you. So take that as a personal promise to whatever dream God has placed inside of your heart. And I just want to say that I love our viewers. I want to say I love you. I'm giving you all virtual hugs from here.
That's fantastic, Rachel. Listen, I imagine there's a lot of people watching who have specific questions, just want to continue the conversation. We've put together some Zoom groups for you guys. What are some of the topics, Rachel, and how do people get onto those?
I'm just scrolling so I can see the exact language, but I do know that the first one is, here it is. The first one is how to find volunteers and engage people, and that's going to be run by Lindell Peterson. The second one is how to start and run digital small groups by our youth director in Sydney, Simon. Is it Gigliotti? Help me.
It depends how Italian you want to be.
Well, I'm not very Italian.
Giggly Aussie, yeah.
Talking about how to manage your digital team. So I'll go a little bit deeper on some of the ideas that I started chatting with today about content calendars and things like that, and how you can spread that workload. And then we have a French review and discussion of what happened today with Vi. So if you speak French and you can understand enough of what I'm saying now, then we welcome you to join that group. So yes. So yes, we want to thank you again for being here with us. And thank you, Kent. Another virtual high five to you. Don't leave me hanging. Thank you. And we are looking forward to seeing you next week for the next Adventist Church Online Network broadcast. Until then, bye-bye for now.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.